Costa Rica, one of the world's most sustainable countries, wasn't always sustainable. At one point, it was in danger.
Costa Rica is known as the rich coast due to its ecological diversity and rich and plentiful natural resources that people love to exploit. Only
0.03%.
the world's surface, Costa Rica accounts for 6% of the world's biodiversity. This means it's very important for the entire world to preserve this ecological biodiversity in Costa Rica. And Costa Rica is doing a pretty good job at it. However, Costa Rica hasn't always been this sustainable.
In 1940, Costa Rica was 75% covered by the forest. But 47 years later, Costa Rica dropped to its lowest it's ever been and was only 21% covered by the forest. This is when people realized there needed to be a shift, a change in mindset. Costa Rica was a very ecological country in the 1940s, with 75% of their land covered with forest. However, this would change in the following decades. The Costa Rican government would incentivize farmers to commit slash and burn to their forest, causing the forest area to fall to 21% of the land, the lowest it has ever been. Thankfully, due to the help of many organizations and people, Costa Rica was able to restore their forest. One of these organizations is Guardians of Nature, founded by Jessica Sheffield. Guardians of Nature is a group that seeks to change and transform the mindset of the lives of millions of children in Latin America by promoting eco-friendly ideologies. Jessica did a TED Talk, and we got the pleasure of speaking with her where she shared extremely helpful and valuable information. Mario Boza, Alvaro Ugaldi, Adelaida Chiveri, Winnie and Dan Jansen, Karen Mungensen, and Olaf Westberg, Christopher Vaughn.
By the 1970s and 80s, there were significant changes being made. These 8 prominent figures were able to help make change in society's mindset. They also helped modify and change cultural practices to make them more environmentally friendly, gain support on reversing deforestation, and make their voices heard. Because of this, Costa Rica was the first tropical country to revert from deforestation.
These key events that changed the course of Costa Rica's history were dependent on government funding. The Payments for Ecosystem Services program, known as PES, was created in 1996 to help reverse the negative effects of deforestation. PES incentivizes farmers and people who have an ecosystem to protect and grow their forests. The government has also partaken in the Blue Flag program, which awards people for their sustainability practices. There has been some resistance from government officials to these changes, but it's through the effort of the youth that Costa Rica has been able to change the trajectory of their government.
After observing Costa Rica's noticeable sustainability online, I decided to go to Costa Rica to get a hands-on experience in exploration of its sustainability. Upon arrival, I was met with Jorge, our tour guide who would be with us throughout the duration of the trip. Immediately after arriving, I noticed many things they do differently. Unlike America, Costa Rica doesn't have air conditioning everywhere, but instead has open areas so it's not as hot. In addition to this, only 2 of the places we stayed at had air conditioning. By the first night, we were able to adjust and sleep comfortably. Air conditioning is a huge component to both air pollution and global warming. In Costa Rica, they use more sustainable methods of power and split it up by using 80% hydropower, 15% wind power, and 4% geothermal power. Guanacaste produces almost all the wind power in Costa Rica. When visiting, we got to see the wind turbines that help produce 15% of the power in Costa Rica. Another thing I noticed is that many houses and buildings have solar panels on top of them, which is another environmentally friendly way to produce renewable energy. There are 5 hydro plants throughout Costa Rica located in
Reventazón, Angostura, Arenal, Miguel Dengo, and Cachi.
These contribute a major role to producing hydropower. Lastly, the geothermal power comes from many volcanic systems as well as Costa Rican Institute of Electricity. Here they focus on designing and implementing activities related to geothermal exploration and development.
Like we said before, Jorge was a tour guide throughout the entire trip, and he was able to teach everybody so much about Costa Rica's sustainability.
Some communities in Costa Rica are very well organized and they do small changes from like the houses and then the schools and then they involve more and more people.
The last person we interviewed was Jayshree Sedwani. Mrs. Sedwani is a Spanish teacher here at Research Triangle High School, and she was one of the teachers who also got the pleasure of visiting Costa Rica. She told us she had a very memorable and impactful experience in such a short amount of time and learned so many new lessons. She participated in many cultural activities such as artwork, salsa dancing, and much more. She talks about how impressed she was with the eco lodge she stayed at called Buena Vista.
Buena Vista is inside of a rainforest and was very beautiful and well taken care of. Miriam learned about the hotel's plethora of beehives and how they produce honey and use this in their cooking for guests. The milk production by the cows in the farm was real impressive as well. They showed Miriam through a class on site how they made their own soap for the resort, as well as the process of composting.
Ms. Adwani's last piece of advice to us was to affect our legislation. She believes that the United States has a ton of waste, especially in their plastic products, and that we should have a fee or tax on these harmful products or find a substitute like paper and renewable resources. After a team member and a teacher had a first-hand account of Costa Rica, we realized just how little we knew about it. To help spread this incredible story, we needed to know how much the world knew about Costa Rica and sustainability. We asked parents, teachers, and students of Research Triangle High School this question, and the results were astounding. 94.1% said they either didn't know Costa Rica's history with sustainability or they only knew parts of it. Additionally, 90.2% of the people polled think that their home country, the United States, is either unsustainable or only partially sustainable. Only a minority of people knew what sustainability is in a society. We realized that we had a historic success story to share with the United States and the wider world.
In all of the interviews we conducted, we asked them one key question. What can we do to make the United States more sustainable? Although there are many different answers to this question, one we got from all three of them is to educate.
Definitely educate others around them.
Education, it's the key.
All changes that you do at home and then you start to like spread that with others.
The world isn't Costa Rica. It can't replicate its success story to the dot. However, Costa Rica is in our world. Countries, counties, neighborhood, families, anyone can all learn and attempt to replicate its actions. Sustainability is very important and far into the future. In a rapidly industrializing world, we must learn where to put limits. If it's not for the environment, then for our own health and safety. The world is warming at an unnatural and rapid rate. And though all hope seems lost, the blueprints to fix our damaged world are laid out plainly in Costa Rica. As Jessica said,
And understanding how so interconnected everything in our world is.
so we must take care of it. While each country is different, we are all a part of one planet, and sustainability can be achieved in similar ways.